Hello, everybody, and welcome in for a special edition of Pucks and Prosecco. I'm Meghan, Angley, and in just a second, I'll be joined by Chloe Theil for our 2025 NHL Yearbook. This podcast is presented by Accurate America.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Hey. Welcome to Pucks and Prosecco. I'm Meghan Angley. Chloe Theil is here, and we have created a 2025 NHL Yearbook. I think 19 pages?
I think it is 19 pages.
I want to caution everyone, we made this in the span of maybe 2 days while doing other things.
We had to go to the Eagles last night.
Yes.
So some of this was last minute putting this together, but we really did our best.
No, we really did our best. And I'm kind of proud that we almost came up with 20 pages in that span of time.
Yeah.
Because I think we would have done even more if we had more time. So it's probably better for everyone. But excitingly, we did go to the Eagles last night, and we have some cool content planned for you guys. Chloe, do you want to tease it a little bit?
So I hope everybody remembers Miss Kat Ellis. She was our first guest on the show. We went up there last night just to, get a little B-roll with her, hang out with some of the other wives and girlfriends, and we got a glimpse just seeing kind of what they do pregame. We had Kat mic'd up, so we have a lot of footage during the game of, every single emotion that you could possibly go through watching a hockey game, including overtime. And spoiler, they did lose in overtime, but it was super fun to see. So we're just working on putting all of that together. We're going to make some fun social stuff with it. So we're excited for you guys to see.
I'm excited, still a little bummed about the Eagles' loss.
I know.
For those following along at home, Eagles versus Abbotsford, two of the best teams in the Pacific Division, and it really has shown over the course of this series. It's been a tight battle every step of the way, and now the Eagles are on the brink of elimination. That sounds a lot crazier than it is. It's a best of 5, first to 3, so it's a much quicker series than a best of 7, and the Eagles need to pull out a win on Friday to force a game 5 coming up on Monday. So they have a little bit of work ahead of them, but I personally felt they were the better team in overtime. They had a flurry of chances, but just one beat Miner in the worst moment. And it was a bit of a bummer because I thought the Eagles were the stronger team on the whole, though it was close. And they just didn't get the results. So I'm really pulling for them. I'm not ready to be done covering playoffs in Colorado, and we are losing opportunities to do that.
I know. I can't believe, I think Jesse had said, they're Colorado's last chance at a championship.
No pressure.
So if you're not following along with the Eagles, you should if you miss watching hockey. But I agree. I thought they were the better team. Maybe, I think we had mentioned maybe a few missed calls here and there. The overtime goal was, it was a weird one. They weren't even sure if it went in or not. So
that was a weird moment.
Close.
It kind of seemed like it was just a net front skirmish and play had been dead, but they were kind of celebrating too. So I think even Abbotsford was a little unsure if that had gone in. So I was bummed, but it was a close game, and I think they have the thing that stood out to me. Both teams are starting to get tired in overtime, and that's why I felt the Eagles looked to be the better team, because they train at altitude, play at altitude regularly, and speed is sort of their MO. So I think they were better equipped for it, even though they were showing a little bit of fatigue as well. I just think that they had a little bit of extra juice. So my hope is that will help them run away with this next game coming up and give them a fighting chance to close out this series, because it'll be historic for the franchise if they do.
Yeah. What is their format? Do they do one home, one away? Do they do 2-2?
It's weird. So they decide home ice based on where you finished in the division. Eagles finished first in the Pacific, so they got home ice through this point. And basically in a best of 5, the first 2 games are actually on the road because they have the next 3 to take the series. And so that's considered home ice advantage. So they started in Abbotsford 2 games, which is a little funky.
That is a little funky.
So they stole a game on the road, but it is weird
Huh.
because Abbotsford has a good home record of their own.
Uh-huh.
And so it was hard for the Eagles to steal one on the road to start this series.
Yeah.
So I feel for them a little bit. I don't know if it would have changed things to actually start at home.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they like that or not, or if they would rather start at home, because to me, I think it would be harder to, go down 2-0 and then go back home, maybe, I guess. Like,
because then you have to win the next 3
Right.
straight, and
Yeah.
that is a hard feat.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's a great question that we should ask one of the players
We should.
post-game, and hopefully there's some more hockey and they extend this series into Monday, so we'll have a
Yes.
chance to ask some more questions. But Jake Wise, Kat Ellis's partner, scored back-to-back goals. So he scored on the road in Abbotsford and then here at home. So
look at
he's
him
on a little bit of
go.
a tear right now. So I want to see some of these storylines keep playing out. Like Matt Steinberg,
Mhm.
he made his debut with the Eagles in this Abbotsford series, and I thought some of the best hockey I've seen him play to date was in that overtime period.
Mhm.
I just thought that his passes were connecting tape to tape, and he was battling really hard. And I think that's where I saw too the fatigue for Abbotsford is the battle and the compete of players like Olausson too, who stood out to me in a positive way, was wearing Abbotsford down, and it was so relentless. It was hard for them to keep up with that, and so they were stealing pucks, getting sticks in lane, and just driving chances to the net. So Sheloff's, the goalie for Abbotsford, had to contend with some. It just felt like the game was right there. It was so hard. Anyways, let's move on to our yearbook so I don't get sad about the Eagles. Is there a reason Prishy hasn't been in this series, or just a different look? Unfortunately, I'm told that Prishepov is dealing with a little bit of an injury. It sounds like it's kind of in a day-to-day category, and what I want to say is the Eagles / Schneekloth have taken a very covert approach, and so they don't even release the lineups anymore. Like, on a game-by-game basis, you would get the full lineup.
After Gabe.
After
You're
Gabe.
like, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, we're not doing this. We saw what we did to the reporters up with the Avs, so we're not going to drive them crazy, or we are going to drive them crazy. So they just released the starting lineup, like the starting 5, basically, and that's it. So anyways, all that to say, not having more information on Prishepov's injury is not weird to me. It doesn't mean it's super serious. It just means they are not giving us very much around injuries. So hopefully he's feeling a little bit better and they extend their run here. But Prishepov has worked really well with Ivan in the playoffs up till this point. So I hope to see more of him.
He's just a mysterious guy.
He's so mysterious.
What can he say?
Did you know he has a SpongeBob tattoo?
What?
The Colorado Eagles social media account. I forget what the prompt of the day even was, but he revealed that he has a SpongeBob tattoo.
That's the most random thing I've ever
I think
heard.
he even shows it in the video. So go follow the Colorado Eagles TikTok account to learn more about Nikita Prishepov's SpongeBob tattoo.
Do you remember where it was?
I think it's like his arm.
Okay. That's more normal than like what I was thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, the whole thing is a little funky, but you know what? You see more of his personality in these videos, and it's kind of like if there was going to be a guy who had a SpongeBob tattoo, it would be you. So there's all you need to know about the Colorado Eagles going into the rest of this series.
The SpongeBob tattoo will save them.
It will, hopefully. And the Tanner on the back. That is only going to make sense to Chloe. But you'll also understand that in the future. Anyways.
Okay. Shall we begin?
Yes, let's begin. Okay. I thought it would be nice to have Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau on the cover of the 2025 NHL Yearbook. It is really sad to go through an NHL season without Johnny Gaudreau. And I think about both the brothers a lot. Even though this happened before the season began, I think that the impact it left on the hockey community will be felt forever, probably, but for a long time, certainly. So this one is dedicated to Matthew and Johnny Gaudreau.
I thought this was amazing and such a good way to start it.
All right. We've got the freshman class. This is actually really hard to do because there are so many players who made an NHL debut this year.
Yeah.
And I tried to prioritize guys who were 24 and younger. There are older players who made debuts, but I was trying to like honor the rookie class mentality with this.
I'm happy that you did that because that is a very fair point. There's so many people that make their debuts, but I think it's good to look at just the little freshies because they are actually freshmen in the NHL. So
I put Ivan Demidov in here just because of all the hype around his trip to Montreal, like the flight watch, and people posted up at the airport.
Mhm.
So he's going to be an incredible player to watch in the future. And then obviously some of the guys at the top of this list, they made an impact in the NHL this season. Michkov, 63 points, 26 goals. Seems like he's finally kind of getting unchained and freed in Philadelphia. And I think that's the type of player, you know, the battle with Torts, it just seemed like there was an incompatibility between player and coach. And I think Michkov is finally freed to really spread his wings and fly. And then, of course, Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith.
Of course.
College rivals turned teammates and best friends. It's been a really adorable storyline to follow this year because San Jose's had some tough moments. Where they finished in the league, still a little bit tough, but there were moments of optimism, and I think a lot of it can point back to the young core in San Jose and some of the magic that these two are finding together. And just watching Celebrini in not Four Nations, Worlds right now, he's going to be a player in this league. I'm excited to see what his ceiling is.
Yeah, I loved Celebrini and Smith playing together and watching what they could do. I mean, it was incredible that the two of them being so young were doing these things in the NHL. So definitely two of my favorites from the little freshman class.
You know, Mancini's there on the bottom, and he's actually in this Abbotsford series right now and scored against the Eagles last night, so I almost took him out of our freshman class. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, there's some of the young guns and Nikolai Kovalenko who still needed to be in here because he made his regular season debut. So I decided that he'd be in it.
Yeah, and it's our yearbook.
It's our yearbook.
Nobody can tell us different.
Perfect.
Okay.
Oh, there were two Dallas players too. That was hard to put in there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, let's get to
2024-25 NHL debuts, and this is just the Avs. There were 10 of them. I thought there were more.
I mean, like when they gave that number of all of the people who dressed in an Avs uniform this year, I think that's where your brain would start to go.
Yeah.
What did it end up being? 45, 44? Different players wore an Avs uniform this year, and then 10 NHL debuts. It's a little sad seeing Cal Ritchie on there.
I know.
Because it was in that weird trial period where we just really didn't get to see him as a member of the Avs for real, and now we never will.
Yeah. But he did have a goal.
Yeah.
When was that? Not preseason.
No, because he had some highlight reel goals in preseason.
Yes.
His little fake shot, real shot that Nathan McKinnon said he tried to do, and it was hard. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And he got to train with Nate and Theil, which also makes me sad because now he's for the other team. Like now he has insight from Nate McKinnon.
Oh my God,
I don't think it will come back to bite us that bad, but exciting to see some of these other names. Ivan had a good stint up with the Avs this season and a lot to build on getting back to the Eagles. I think Corey Masisak had a piece about Ivan come out yesterday, and basically the takeaway was it's harder to score in the American League when you're not being set up on Nathan McKinnon from the bumper spot on PP1 with the Avs. So finding your chances can be a little bit more challenging in the American League. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Like, the quality of competition is probably a little bit lesser, the goaltending even a little bit lesser, but being able to make plays at the American League level is different because the quality of, skill in your teammates is going to vary. And the pace of the game is a little bit different. It's a little less 5v5, and so it can be dysregulated in that way. So some challenges certainly for Ivan that he's had to overcome, and I am excited to see if he can be a difference maker as a depth option for the Avs next year.
And of course, Matthew Steinberg.
Okay.
he still has to get moved up to the NHL and then serve his suspension.
They did it.
They did?
They snuck him in. Okay, so fun fact. When Gabriel Landeskog was potentially set to make his debut in Game 2, and the media was tweeting out the scratches, Matthew Steinberg was a scratch. They technically called him up in the playoffs, had him serve his suspension, and he should be good now.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to Matthew Steinberg that just slipped right through because of Gabe, and nobody even knew. Like, oh my god, he did it.
That's exactly how it happened. They snuck it by everybody, and I feel for Steinberg because his time as a prospect in the Avs organization has been tough. Like, he dealt with injury in college, and so the body of work to evaluate him on was just lesser. And so, they had to get him a contract. He briefly entered that free agency status, if I remember correctly, like that period between college and losing a player's rights to free agency. Like, I think they were right on the doorstep of this. And so I think just where he fits in with the organization, with where he's at as a player, because he's a little bit older than some of the other prospects, has been tough. And so watching him this year in the very limited window we did, he seems like such a Jared Bednar guy, the way that he plays. And he's irritating. And actually, like, William Dufour, the player that was brought over in the Lindgren trade, he made his debut too in the playoffs for the Eagles last night. And the way that these two play together, Dufour and Steinberg, they're little brats. And I think that is not, there's not enough brat representation in the Avs lineup, I think.
So true.
So I just want to see more Steinberg because the injury was such a setback. He had this intriguing showing with the Avs. Obviously, towing that line comes with not always reading things correctly, and it leads to a suspension, which was not okay. But it's the style of hockey that he plays. It's going to lead to some risk at times that he's trying to figure out the discipline aspect and how to walk that line more closely. So I just want to see a full season of Matt Steinberg healthy, because I think he endeared himself to Jared Bednar.
And that was one of the things when we had gone up there right before Gabe had done his conditioning stint. We had talked to him, and he was saying that it was so nice to get to know Gabe because he was chatting with him about his injury and what it's like to go through an injury like that for so long. So that would be cool to see them get to play together too after getting to play together at the Eagles.
That's such a great call out. That's a good influence, I think, of the type of player that Gabe is a very elevated version of what I think Steinberg could hope to be. So that's a great call out.
All right. And our senior class.
Our senior class.
Our 2025 senior.
Marc-André Fleury, perhaps one of the most respected and beloved players in the game. Everybody showed him so much respect, and it's hard to imagine a league without Fleury in it. He's just such a great goaltender, such a steady presence, and such a fun guy, such a silly guy.
I mean, I think it's just great to be able to have him as an alumni to the NHL, because he has a great personality on top of being a great goaltender. So how many years did he play? I don't even know.
I don't know off the top of my head. We give
somebody in the comments has to know.
Has to know. Fleury, total career.
We're really good at
21
this.
seasons.
21, which is just crazy.
575 wins, 1,051 regular season games. Wow. He finished with a .912 save percentage over the span of 21 seasons. That's a lot.
Fantastic.
Of consistency.
Wow. And just him playing for 4 different teams too.
Yeah.
Getting his foot in the door.
Yeah.
multiple different teams. He was everywhere.
Wearing many hats along the
Yes.
way, you know, kind of going to more of a backup role later in his career and embracing it and being such a veteran presence for younger goaltenders. So that was the kind of guy too, like when we were wondering a little bit back, what does an Alexander Georgiev need? That's the exact kind of presence that might have helped him, because he was, you know, Georgiev, as we know, was struggling with some of the mental side of the game and the challenges and the pressures of being a starter. And I just think someone like Marc-André Fleury could have really helped him to process that.
Yeah. All right. 4 Nations.
The 4 Nations Face-Off.
Wow.
When I was thinking of this, I imagined it like a field trip, like a little field trip to remember in the school year.
I kind of thought of it like that too. Yeah.
It's not super apparent, but do you remember the Facetune photos that Bleacher Report was putting out there? You can't
Yes, I
really
do.
tell, but this McKinnon photo with
His nose is
McDavid and
straight.
Crosby, they yassified all 3 of these guys. And if you blow it up, you can see it even better. But his skin is so smooth. And I even think in doing that, they kind of straightened out his nose. And that is
Right.
criminal to do.
And that was the thing that, I mean, I think more people noticed that before they even noticed, like, oh my God, his skin is super smooth. They were like, why is his nose not
Straight.
crooked?
Wait, whoa.
Why is it straight?
Pause. So there was a lot of storylines
Oh my
inside the 4
gosh.
Nations tournament. Also, Minnesota Wild's medical staff potentially sabotaging Charlie McAvoy.
Yes.
I don't think we talk about that enough. Like some of the lasting repercussions of the injuries that came out of this tournament.
Right.
And this scary close call with McAvoy was bad. All the fights.
Yep.
Those were fun. And then the group chat for Team
chat.
Canada.
Of course.
But of course, the USA group chat plotting the fights too
Mm-hmm.
became a little bit of a storyline.
Yeah. This was, I mean, this felt like it went on for weeks because it was just, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be so crazy, but it was just everything I could have hoped for.
It was. I want them to continue it because
I do too.
it's more effective than the All-Star game, certainly.
Yes.
But I do need to sit with the risk of the injuries coming out of it because players did take this more seriously. It did lead to some more injury than we're used to seeing. So that's something to consider. And the guys came back tired. That was a tough thing. Like, I can't speak for other players on their other teams, but just the players that came back for the Avs, they struggled a little bit. And it felt like it caught up with them even at the end of the year. Like, as we approached game 82, those were the guys that needed the rest because they never got it. And so in the immediate, you could see the fatigue, but even when they were getting down to the finish line, you could see it kind of wore on them. So that'd be better assessed by the players on a personal level, but that is something that I'm thinking about in the back of my mind.
Ovi,
the Great Chase.
This one's great.
This is great.
We're just gonna put the picture up and then go.
I know our audio only listeners are probably like, what's going on?
What are we looking at?
Let me describe the picture to you. Alex Ovechkin scoring goal 895 to surpass Wayne Gretzky's goal career total record, and he's celebrating with what looks to be like champagne, probably Prosecco. I don't know. Probably Prosecco. And then, of course, him diving to the ice. There's a better word for that. Like, I guess it is diving. Like super sliding. Super slide.
Penguin slide.
What am I thinking of? Slip and slide.
Slip and slide.
There we go.
Yeah.
Bands that make you dance. I don't really know the origin other than it just became associated with them and they were listening to it when Ovi would score goals.
Oh.
But it kind of caught on.
I guess I don't know exactly what it is, but like there was that one video of them, you know, waiting to go out on the ice and he's like singing the song. So
it's like, Ovi. Spoiler alert, one of our superlatives is best locker room DJ, and we weren't really sure. But I thought of Ovechkin and Bands Make Her Dance, because that was such a good song to kind of
That was a
call
good
back
song.
to and link to this moment.
Yeah. Penguins
So
flag.
I'm not sure if Ovi was the one who selected it, but whoever picked that for Ovi in this moment,
You
and the
win.
goals, yeah, you're best DJ.
And let's not forget that they stopped mid-game to do the celebration.
Yeah, let's not forget the dramatic effect of all of this. The NHL
love
will
it.
claim that they're not about soap operas,
Drama.
but they love drama.
They do. And to go along with this, because we're a Trent Miner
this was
podcast,
amazing.
we had to throw this in here. I had this thought, so I think this is the last slide that I added. And I just had to, because I feel like this was just such a big part of it. And we're talking about how he made his NHL debut. And we couldn't
Yes.
say he made his NHL debut without this.
Yeah, because he came in as relief, cold, stopped an OV wrister, and is now among very few goaltenders to have never been scored on by Alex Ovechkin. And that's incredible.
And he got a can for it.
And he got a can. Yeah, he
Which will
did.
be framed in his house forever.
Trent
It's random that it's a can, but at least they get,
Miner.
they get something for it.
I'm so glad Alyssa put that in the comment. I can't help but sing it in my head that way. Trent Miner. Okay.
All right.
Congratulations to Trent Miner.
Congratulations.
We haven't actually talked
Utah.
about this. I'm so glad you included this as a slide.
Yeah. Remember, I think this was our first episode, wasn't it?
It was.
And we had talked about which logo they were gonna pick,
Mm-hmm.
which ones we liked. I don't think we
Mascots.
said that we liked this one very much.
I think it was contentious because we have the Colorado Mammoth.
Yeah.
And I remember actually going up online, like, what is the relation to, Mammoth presence in Utah as well as Colorado? And both can make a case for it. So I get the precedent, but I don't know. I'm glad they have a name now, I guess.
I'm happy for them.
It doesn't feel like it's their name, though.
It doesn't.
There was something that came up on my feed that was like, best Mammoth highlights of the year. And I'm like, who are these people?
Best Colorado lacrosse.
Right. Who is this? And it was Utah Mammoth. So it hasn't stuck yet. And I worry that maybe delaying coming up with a name is going to hurt the recognition, because seeing Mammoth doesn't sink in yet that it's this Utah hockey club.
I just don't love I think they could have done so much more with it. But like Alyssa said, the colors are ugly. I like the colors. I like the baby blue and the white and the black. I think that works well together. I just logo.
This is funny. Nice to know the team makes up one big mammoth and not several small mammoths.
Right. Okay, so this was the other part. People are calling them the Utah Mammoths.
Right.
Is it the Utah Mammothi?
Mammothi, the singular. Because, okay, you've got the Nashville
Mammoth.
Predators.
Yes.
Toronto Maple Leafs. We have a singular Avalanche, which kind of makes sense because I don't know about multiple avalanches being necessary. Even the Hurricanes get more than one hurricane.
Yeah.
Is there an example of another singular use team name?
Yeah, Jesse has made me do this trivia before, and I remember doing it, and now I can't recall.
There's 11 in North American sports. Jesse called out to us from behind the glass.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very unique New York of them. I don't mind the colors. I think it just needed one additional color to make it pop a little bit more. I love the blue. I think the white and the black is what makes it a little basic, and where I wanted to see them get a little adventurous, maybe with like a pale yellow.
A pale yellow.
Yeah, like a
that would be a
yellow.
little crazy. Actually, I guess no, because like how do you clarify pale yellow? Like a baby yellow?
Yeah, like it's kind of a pastel in my brain.
Interesting. You should tell them that.
I actually think too different from that, but even a yellow like that would look kind of nice with it.
That would look nice. Jesse's writing out every single one of these in. Oh, Jesse, you spelled avalanche wrong. Avalanche, Wild, Kraken.
Okay, so the ones that are singular
Mammoth.
make sense though. To me.
But Mammoth doesn't make sense to me because it's an animal.
It's an animal. And so, with the other animals, you've got tons of them.
Right.
And wild to me,
Is it because they're extinct?
Is it because they're extinct?
So there's only like one?
I mean,
We're probably thinking
I
about this
don't-
way too
I
hard.
don't know about all that. But anyways, welcome to the club, Utah Mammoth.
Yes.
The new kid in school.
Yep. Everybody bully them.
The transfer student. Everybody bully them. Okay, welcome also to the league, Miss Coach Jessica Campbell. A strong contender for best dressed in the league, but I didn't
Yes.
want that to be reductive. I didn't want to make the groundbreaking first female NHL coach best dressed. Something
Because
about that
it's
didn't sit
just-
right in my soul.
Yeah, but like we just know that.
But we know intuitively.
We don't need to tell people that because we all
It's
just know that that's what it
obvious.
is. It's very obvious.
A fun Jessica Campbell fact is when she wore this white suit,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was for her debut game, if I'm not mistaken. But how she decided to wear it was looking around the league. What is a color suit that you just wouldn't see a man behind the bench wearing?
Yeah.
And she landed on white. And I
Yeah.
think that was such a great call out. She rocked it. And obviously, the Kraken is in a little bit of a tough place. They need to hire a new head coach, but her job as an assistant coach is secure.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kraken had a bit of a tough year, but I think just hearing the way some of her players talked about her as a coach and the impact that she's had in improving individual aspects of players' games within their skating,
Mm-hmm.
just to make them a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more deceptive. I'm excited to see what she can do in this league for more to come, but the Kraken have some work to do.
I hope they make her their head coach.
That would be insane, right? Like
crazy,
a
right?
superlative, most likely to become a coach.
Yes.
Head coach.
Head
Jessica
coach.
Campbell, obviously.
Jessica. All right. Maxi.
Maxi.
Wow. Did you forget about Maxi? How could you?
Welcome to the world, Miss Maxi. Also so adorably named in honor of Peter McNabb.
Yes.
Another person in hockey that was missed from this hockey season.
Yeah.
And now his legacy lives on forever in, well, not forever, but I guess for a long time, BB girl Maxi.
What do
With
you mean?
Freedom
Maxi's gonna live forever.
You're right. You're so correct.
Right?
Freedom Service Dogs. We are trying to actually make a piece of content with them to help explain to you guys a little bit more about what a team dog is.
Mm-hmm.
So on one hand, I want to share with you a little bit of what we learned, but I also don't want to spoil part of that future piece.
Yeah.
But we have gotten a lot of questions of like, well, who watches Maxi? Like, what does a team dog mean?
I mean, I wonder that stuff too. Like,
And-
why is she at the locker room only sometimes?
And she's a team dog more in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
She is a service dog in training. And so she is under the care of Freedom Service Dogs.
Mhm.
And there's an incredibly involved process that the little pups go through. They go through a lot of screening and vetting and very basic puppy training before they ever attend service dog training.
Yeah.
And it's pretty rigorous. And even the qualities that are like the characteristics that they need to meet before they can be considered for the service dog training are kind of tough to meet. So
Mhm.
Maxi is going through that process
Yeah.
to be a service dog one day.
Yeah.
And it's to raise awareness around this organization who provides service dogs to not just veterans, but differently abled people who need different types of service in their day. So it can be emotional support, but it can also be physical support.
Yeah.
So a really awesome nonprofit. And Maxi is a pretty big deal in that sense too, that
Yeah.
she is a service dog in training. So awesome to see her with the team. They clearly adore her, and I think they should consider having a team dog like at the practice facility
Yeah.
all the time
Traveling to all the games
with me.
with Meghan in her
With
pocket.
me.
Shocking and exciting trade deadline moves. Oh my god, I wrote deadline. Shoot! Don't look at that.
Who's
don't look-
editing
don't
this
look at that, don't
yearbook?
look at that. Who is the yearbook
You're
editor?
fired.
You're done. You're done.
It was us. We're the editors. Okay.
Us were the editors. I mean, there were so many moves at trade deadline, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to pick and choose. To me, these were probably the most shocking. You have Brad Marchand going to Florida, leaving Boston. You have Mikko, who he was technically with Carolina at this part, but I put him in an Avs jersey, heading to Dallas. And then you have EJ coming back home to Colorado.
I think what is not, it's not funny yet. I think it'll be funny one day, is how much Mikko Rantanen dominated this deadline.
Yeah.
And the drama of it all.
Drama.
Like,
Here's another instance of how dramatic the NHL is.
Classic Scorpio just needed everything. I'm just kidding. That's not a classic Scorpio thing. But he really needed to be the center of attention.
He did.
At all times.
And he did it.
And he really did do that. And so there's other trades of note, you know, like Seth Jones moving on from Chicago, heading to Florida, and he's made a huge difference for the Panthers. But just none that really left the impact or shook the entire hockey world quite like Mikko Rantanen, especially because it happened ahead of the deadline. Yeah. And then, of course, the subsequent trade, it just was drama the whole way through.
It was.
Because Brad Marchand was huge. Okay, you know what? I'm going to pop outside my Avs bubble for a second. That was huge too, especially just internally within the Boston fan base. What that meant, it kind of pointed to such a wake-up call too, that this is an organization in a little bit of trouble and in decline and needing to admit to that and moving on from a player like Brad Marchand. And then they're shipping out Coyle and they're shipping out Carlo, and it's just kind of drama in that too. So I'll give that some time.
Most shocking like team moves as a whole, it would be Boston, because they got rid of everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody and their mother got sent somewhere
else. It's like, who's still here?
Who's
still left? Just Jeremy Swayman trying to fight other goaltenders. And that should have been some kind of superlative. Most likely to get into a fight. I don't know. Well, not him, because he can't, really. Because they're going to stop him. But he most likely to try.
Most likely to try to get into a fight. Love it.
Erik Johnson. Just a fun little sneak deadline move.
I felt like the first two ones were a little too dramatic.
Yeah.
So I wanted to add one that was
sweeten the deal.
Yes.
Peepaw came home.
Because this was pretty, shocking, exciting. Like, I don't think a lot of people believed it when they first heard about it. So I thought that was a good one to add.
It is a good call out.
This happened?
Taves doing the condor on the ice at practice. There was some drama. It was good.
Can't believe Shillington to Ducks from Islanders didn't make the list.
Alyssa,
honestly, it should have.
We need you on our yearbook staff.
Obviously, we need an editor, because Deadling? What the hell?
This is such a late reaction, but Hyman pointed out Kraken is an animal-ish, and he is correct, but it's like a mythological creature, a great proportion. It can be singular, I feel.
Like isn't the Theil, like there's only one of them to exist, though?
A Kraken?
Yeah. Or are there multiple?
I thought it was a mythological creature.
Yeah. Like there's only... Like the Theil is there's only one. I thought...
Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about... I misunderstood Theil. Like T-A-L-E and T-A-I-L.
T-A-L-E.
That's a good point. I actually don't know enough about Kraken lore.
Well, here's your sign. Everybody do your Kraken research.
We got some homework to do, you guys. Yeah. We might be going to summer school.
Okay. The suspension list. This is everybody that we put in the burn book this year.
A little evil emoji. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, that's why I added it.
First of all, we have not done enough burn book entries, is what I'm seeing.
When I was doing this, I was like, wow, this is it? It feels like maybe we've just said that we're going to put more people in the burn book and then haven't done it, but these are the six. These are the six. This is also Jordan not through the whole season. So.
Yeah. You're right, because we put Rumpy in it with Mark Stone.
Right, yes.
And
shoot!
No, but we felt mixed feelings about it.
We didn't actually add it?
They were like kind of temporarily in it. We felt they could come out. No, they were in it. They got a shared page.
They got a page?
For what? For their crimes.
Darn.
On Heiskanen.
Well, they're not in there.
When they were targeting pretty girls around the league. And it wasn't safe. But I feel good about this.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a good start.
I wish we could put Mason Marchment in again.
Yeah.
And I just continue to feel weird about Jamie Benn. I was with my friend on Friday trying to convince her not to like Jamie Benn, and she just was unfamiliar with him. And I think we're successful. I think she's joined us in our hatred of Jamie Benn.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I love it.
Summer school for them. They have to repeat a year.
They have to repeat a year until they get out of the burn book, so it's never gonna happen.
Not for Todd Bertuzzi.
Okay, next are our superlatives. Student awards.
Okay. So we want people to submit their own. Also, Scott Saborin still sucks. Caitlin's story is so correct.
Yeah.
We do need to add him into our burn book. It is not exclusive to the NHL, and he still is such a little drama queen. But speaking of drama queens, up for Best Actor in the NHL is Nathan MacKinnon. And I feel like this has to be broken up into two categories. Like Best Actor literal, and then Best Actor derogatory.
Yes. Mason Marchment.
Mason Marchment, exactly.
So that's what, when you put that in there, I was like, that's funny, because I was going to go the stereotypical way.
Yes.
You hear Best Actor, but I like this more.
Like Jamie Benn walking into Josh Manson's stick. That was quite the performance.
Yeah.
But Nathan MacKinnon in the Tylenol commercial.
I mean, that was a great commercial. And then what's the place called? Tim Hortons.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Sidney Crosby doing that commercial that they just put out too. That one was also fantastic. I don't know where he gets this from.
You know, he was in Trailer Park Boys too.
I
as
remember
himself,
that
technically.
that episode, yeah.
And so his acting history, his IMDb goes crazy.
It does go crazy.
Okay.
Check that out.
Did you ever? No, I don't know if that's a deep cut, but he had this
What?
video surface on YouTube from, like, I'm assuming high school, where he choreographed a dance with some of his friends, and so there's a video of him dancing. I'll send it to you. It's very funny, but it's such a baby Nathan MacKinnon that
so it's like
he probably doesn't
he's in
want
high school or
anyone.
something?
Yeah, he probably doesn't want anyone to see it. It was like for a class project, it seems like, or actually
Yeah.
for fun. I have no idea.
But it's funny that he, he's like disgruntled with the media, but then he can go and do all of these super fun commercials, and it's like, why don't you just put on a little show for us?
Yeah. Or maybe, what if it is a show? What if he's doing a bit every time that he's kind of mean?
It's just him practicing his acting skills.
He's just practicing. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I'm trying out for this role as
have this role in the new
high school
Tylenol
bully.
commercial.
And he takes it out on us. We're
Yeah.
his audience.
Yeah.
That's so nice of him. He's a method actor. That's so nice of him. I love the interview he did recently with the World's Tournament, where the reporter was grilling him a little bit about, what he didn't like about the game
Yes.
and the officiating, and like, well, what didn't you like? And I'm surprised this reporter got as much of an answer as they did, as they doubled down on some of these questions, but it ending with, "You must be finished," and Nathan MacKinnon walking out of the interview.
I would quit.
I would quit.
That'd be the last day for me.
Really? I almost would feel emboldened.
How do
by
you
that.
come back from that?
As Nathan or as the reporter?
As the reporter. How do you come back from getting burned that bad by Nathan MacKinnon? That'd be it for me.
There's a part of me that would, I don't know, that I might cry personally, but
I'd cry.
a different version of me might wear it as a bit of a badge of honor. Like, you really got in Nathan MacKinnon's head without trying, right? Like,
Yeah.
they were just trying to do the journalistic thing and ask their questions and not be swayed by Nathan MacKinnon being a little bit prickly with them. And they succeeded, but they
Right.
got under his skin.
But that's the thing, like, as a reporter, it's not your goal to get under a player's skin. So walking away from that, and like Alyssa said, reporter must have seemed proud. It's like, oh gosh, you're proud. want that. Like, that's so scary.
Right, because I think there's a plan A of I want to connect with this player and I want to build
I want
rapport. I
them to
want
be
them to
besties.
feel comfortable, to open up to me.
Right.
If that doesn't work, if the player's really closed off, you might have to break glass in case of emergency and go to
Mhm.
plan B, which
Yep.
is don't back down. And that is one dog that has a big bite. Nathan
Period.
McKinnon. He could be so many of these. All right, best bromance.
Of course.
Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. I want what they have. It's really special. Their summer party with Tyler Toffoli and their
Yep.
nightly cookies and milk. It's really wholesome, and I'm glad that they have each other because they're navigating some difficult waters with the place that San Jose is at
Mhm.
as an organization, and I think that their positive attitude can right that ship.
What is this picture? Because I've never seen this.
So I think that's a player's baby. I already forgot. It's an
Okay.
Instagram, so the caption explained it. So they're you know what? I actually don't think I can explain this.
They're in little
like leader Rosen.
Yes, the like little German boys wear those those overalls, and they're both wearing those and hats and holding a baby.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
All
yeah,
right.
that's all we need. Next,
That's for our audio listeners, so that they knew what they were
so they
looking
knew.
at.
Yes, cutest couple: Ross Colton and Miles Wood, of course.
Because on one hand, yeah, that's also a bromance. But this is
is more than a
this is
bromance.
a really strong bond between
Yes.
these two. Respectfully, they had to be up for cutest couple.
Yes, I agree.
The best friends that ever were. Because I saw this picture of them together at the wedding ahead of seeing them with their partners. So
It was over after this.
yeah, so I
I
was
like, you just
were they there?
confirmed every suspicion I've ever
Were
had.
they just there together? Like, no, their partners were there with them as well.
And the umbrella?
The parasol. Just really lovely between them. Hard to imagine them separated,
Yeah.
but that could happen someday. And I think their
I
friendship
thought you
is
said
strong
Sunday.
enough.
What do you mean Sunday? That
Coming
could happen.
soon. No, I think that they have a bond strong enough to endure wherever life takes them.
They do.
Oh my gosh, are we getting a Woody Ross divorce next season? Please. A long distance relationship is possible if
Yeah.
both parties are invested and committed to each other. Let's move on to our best prankster in Marc-André Fleury. So we know of the pranks and the prank war between him and Duhaime going back, but even this season he was continuing to be a silly goose, messing with Steve Booyam. So he is a consistent prankster, and I love that about him.
He is. I love what last year, I can't remember what exactly happened, but it was at Ballerina. Duhaime, I think, had put a bunch of dirt on top of his car.
Yeah, like a little. So I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, Flower put the dirt on Duhaime's car here in Colorado. And yeah, like fully went to Home Depot and got potting dirt. And I don't even know if there were some flowers sprinkled in.
And I was at Ballerina when this was happening.
Did you help?
I didn't, but I would have if they asked me to be included. I'd be like, hell yeah. But I remember there was commotion after. You see, that's why I couldn't remember, because I couldn't remember if it was Fleury or if it was Duhaime that was walking out from like morning skate, and they were like, "What happened to my car?" And it was a whole thing.
I'm curious, who had to have let him in?
Flower made a flower bed and chained Duhaime's tires to the fence. That's what it was.
Yeah. And Caitlin points out that Duhaime put toilet paper on Flower's car in Minnesota. So he TP'd the car. I mean, to be fair, these are all alleged, right? We can't confirm or deny
who did it.
Yes. But we have a strong suspicion.
It could have been me.
Chloe actually chained the tires to the fence. Duhaime said, "Don't we have security?" I am so curious about who let Flower into the player parking lot.
Well, the thing is that there, like when you come in, I've been sick, so I'm all nasally right now. when you come in, if you're a player, like the buses come in the same way as where the player parking lot is. So once you come in on a bus, there's no security like really in between there that would stop.
You're right, because you
him
just
from
hang a
going in.
left,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
So like there's gated security, of course, but once you're in, you're in.
So Chloe could have changed
I could have done it.
tires to fence.
Yep.
I wanted to shout out Eric Johnson for his pranks too. One of the funniest stories is the prank that he pulled on Ben Myers, texting him from some kind of anonymous number, different number, and saying that, I want to say it was, I can't remember if it was Ray Bennett or Nolan Pratt, but it was one of the assistant coaches pretending to be him, saying that they needed to meet to break down some film and to bring a bottle of wine. And so Ben Myers, not knowing, red or white, brought both and showed up at one of the assistant coaches' hotel rooms, knocking on the door with wine in hand, thanks to Eric Johnson. And I think that's a hilarious prank, and deserves a shout out as well, because I'm sure there are more pranks from Eric Johnson that we can't talk about on here.
And he needs to get a shout out for best social media presence, because he's always the one commenting on all the posts.
He's
just fell to my
always
knees
falling to his knees in the club.
in somewhere. Yeah. So good on him for, being active like that.
So one of these categories I wanted to be was most likely to be TikTok famous.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of who I would pick for that. I don't know if Eric Johnson could find his way around TikTok, but if he had somebody helping him.
To me, like Av specific, I don't know. In general, I would just pick Celebrini because he has been TikTok famous multiple times.
Yes, there was that video with him and Smith in basketball, and they were doing some kind of voiceover.
Yeah, what? It was like a voiceover of LeBron. And it was really random. But
Seth Jarvis is funny. I think he could be TikTok famous.
Yeah.
There's something, about all of these people that they're so funny that I don't know if they have the consciousness to want to put themselves on camera and document it, but they would be so good on TikTok that
EJ Instagram live after the cup win. That's another part of it.
That was so funny and a little alarming, like fully giving his location to everybody.
I love it. I love it.
Keep it real.
Okay.
Don't worry, we have some Brad Marchand love in here. I gave Brent Burns best smile. I feel like there's a lot of hockey smiles around the league that could be nominated here, but
this one's good.
This one stands out.
Put Mackenzie Blackwood in there.
But don't worry. He's in here somewhere else.
Best dress, Natchez. Completely.
I don't know if you saw, I had David Pasternak in there
did.
originally, and I was torn because I actually think Martin Necas, it's time for his moment in the sun, because Pasternak gets nominated for style awards all the time, and rightfully so. He has some nice suits, but I think sneakily Martin Necas has some good suits.
I like it.
He plays with color theory a lot, and I think it's bold, it's different, and I really think he deserved this one this year.
And if we're talking about Avs specific, I mean, he's competing with a lot of guys that wear gray. But
Cale Makar and that gray peacoat. Worst. I don't think he's the worst dressed. No, I just think that somebody needs to steal that coat from him.
He just needs a different color.
Take it from him.
Get him a blue one.
Yeah, the gray is doing nothing for any of these men, okay?
I love it when he does the gray with the bob collar. It's like, hold your collar down. Are you doing that on purpose?
Alyssa shouted out the baby blue suit from Necas, which is actually what first sprang to mind.
And the Louis Vuitton
duffel bag. And I feel bad that I didn't include that picture, and I will be firing myself from Yearbook. But that is a great shout out.
We're both fired from Yearbook. We need a different editor because, come on.
Yeah, so this year's was Necas. Nope, that's perfect. Most inspiring.
Wait! We're missing my Gabe page.
Wait, it might be later? Or did it get...
No, it's not in here.
Is it too late to... While I'm talking?
It's not. I
Cool,
can add it right now.
Cool. Most inspiring, Gabriel Landeskog. Okay, so we're going to do an awards show next week, and it's going to include our nominees for the NHL awards, including a conversation probably around Masterton. But I did want to talk about this because there were some other really worthy nominees for Masterton this year. And what's tough about NHL awards is it's in season, it's the regular season. And so a lot of Gabe's comeback is really cemented in his return to play in the playoffs. So I think people rightfully have entertained this conversation that Masterton maybe could have been given to other players. Sean Monahan springs to mind as a player who had to step up this season mourning the loss of a really good friend and teammate that he came to Columbus to play with in Johnny Gaudreau. So Sean Monahan was a really good nod for an inspiring player this year. Dakota Joshua, another who had to battle cancer and surgical procedures to treat it at the start of this year. So there were a lot of inspiring storylines from this season that I still wanted to shout out. But Gabriel Landeskog, we know Masterton regular season award, but we know what he's been doing to make this comeback happen over the course of the regular season. That doesn't necessarily translate to drawing in for an NHL game, but it does mean a lot of setbacks and moments of doubt that he highlighted in the documentary with a clean sheet. So this still was worthy of the most inspiring superlative. Sorry.
I think so too, but I agree. I think this one's hard. This is a hard award to give out to
just
one person. Yeah. They should give out multiple.
Most proud award.
Most
and
proud.
It's just a picture of me.
Just Meghan. And it goes to every player.
Everybody
gets one. It's a participation award.
I'm so proud of you. Just like an award from Meghan Angley. Like, who is this? How did she get my address? I wasn't sure for best celebration, you guys. I'm gonna be honest with you.
This one's great.
Because there's a lot of good, honestly, Ross Colton reacting to his teammates scoring generally is a best celebration. But this face when he scored against Gustafsson in the Minnesota Wild game was so good.
Amazing.
I just had to stop and look at it for a second. So yeah, Ross Colton, you won this one. Okay. Most likely to become a coach, Jonathan Drouin. And I feel very specifically he would be a great video coach. I think the way that he nerds out over the game is so tactical that I think he could key in on very specific things with players and apply his knowledge, not just of hockey, but also of around the league. He likes to stay connected to not only, what his own team is doing and what he himself is doing, but what everyone around the league is doing. And he obviously seems to absorb it very well in being the guy to make a recommendation for the shootout and being successful in that recommendation. So he's just a big hockey nerd, and I think that could translate well to coaching if he ever wanted to pursue it.
Do you think he ever would?
I actually don't know. That was the only thing that made this one hard, is I'm not sure
like who actually would.
Yeah, I could see someone more like a Logan O'Connor being a coach sooner than Jonathan Drouin, but it's hard to really tell.
Gabe Landeskog.
Gabe Landeskog is a great one. He's already described as an extension of the coaching staff as a player. So I was like, is it mean to, if this is a real school yearbook, would it have been mean to say biggest nerd in the yearbook for Jonathan Drouin? Because I mean it affectionately.
No. If you mean it in a nice way, then it's not mean. Right?
Perfect. Right? For most haunted, we have Brandon Tanev. He just always looks like something's spoken him. And he's disassociating. Yeah. So I hope that gets sorted, King, and all is well.
All is well.
Quinn Hughes snubbed for haunted. He also looks like he is
yes
battling some demons.
This is almost like we know this is a joke, right? Because he does.
I'm just kidding.
Because he does it on purpose for the photos and stuff. But Quinn Hughes, man,
he is really going through it.
The staring off into space.
Yeah,
And his
There's
eyes are
always
like,
something about him that looks like he needs some vitamins to my eye. Looks like he just needs some vitamins.
somebody give him some water.
Some vitamin D2 for a mood booster. He just seems he seems like he's struggling a little bit. So honestly, the drama in Vancouver too of like
In case
Quinn
anyone
Hughes,
wanted an update, Denmark just upset Canada in Worlds.
that is crazy. Anyway, that's crazy.
Holy hell.
Anyways, Quinn Hughes might play with his brothers and he will be probably less haunted.
Yeah.
The power of 3. Like, never mind. Anyways, most improved. This was hard. I just wanted to shout out the Washington Capitals in regular season turnaround from one year to the next. They didn't get swept out of the first round, so that was still also an improvement, but they met a strong foe in Carolina, obviously, this year. But from going from one of the lowest goal-scoring teams in the league to one of the best, and obviously the trajectory that Alex Ovechkin was on single-handedly, but getting some back-end contributions, some depth contributions. It was a good year for them. PLD stepped up. So just wanted to shout out the improvement of the Washington Capitals.
This one's more fun than it's a whole team and it's not just a single player.
Yeah. We could have done more team ones too, because I was like, who had a case of senioritis is kind of my question. And immediately Buffalo Sabres spring to mind because they're a team that I think had the potential to be better than they were this year and just weren't. Whereas a team like Anaheim and San Jose feel like low-hanging fruit because they're in a rebuild actively with some young players that they're just trying to get NHL minutes, blah, blah, blah. We know that story. Buffalo felt like they were just a little bit checked out.
Yeah. Well, we have so many other shows we could do. Full team superlatives.
Full team superlatives.
If you want to. And then here's the Gabe one.
There's Gabe.
There he is. See,
Also,
this was a big part of it. We didn't mean to leave him out like that. He had a whole page to himself.
Yeah, this comeback was so much fun from being up in Loveland for the conditioning stint and that being a success story night 1 into night 2, just playing back-to-backs, 15-minute nights, overtime in the next night, getting the game-tying goal. This has been so much fun to cover, and I started covering the Avs in the 2022 season, and there were still COVID protocols, so they would bring players up to the podium, and I didn't start to really interview players one-on-one at that time for that reason. And so I never interviewed Gabriel Landeskog. This was my first real chance to do interviews with him in a more one-on-one setting. It was still scrums at times, but that was really exciting for me to get a better feel for him as a person personally, because I had this notion of who he was based on how everyone spoke about him and listening to him speak, but I never had that one-on-one. And it was awesome to just get to know Landeskog a little bit better in that way this year.
And you had the first interview with him after playing for the Eagles.
So freaking
Megan did the on-ice interview with him both nights, and it was so much fun. It's so cool to see. And yeah, I mean, it's the same for me. I've never, like, this just being my second year being around the Avs, he just hasn't really been around. So
yeah,
it's cool being able to cover him and to see all the interviews that he does. And yeah,
he's really nice to have around the room. You can see the difference. Everyone talked about the difference that he made, but you can see it now with him back in the room and speaking.
Yeah.
We gave wait, there's more.
What?
There is more.
Is there?
There's at least one more.
Uh-oh.
Also, we gave Brad Marchand class clown on the game slide. No, it's okay. That one, I feel like to other players he's probably not that funny, but to me he's very funny. His antics are very funny and they're kind of unserious. He's intentionally being antagonistic at times, and I really appreciate that quality about him. I'm sure it's irritating to other people playing against him, but it is very amusing to me.
We've talked about it. I like him. I like him as a player, and I like that he's a little rat. I think it's fun.
He is a little rat.
Here it is. It
was a last-minute addition, but Mackenzie Blackwood was up for Best Smile. He didn't take that one from Brent Burns, but he did get Best Vibes. Easy
I was
one.
even thinking, putting him and Wedgwood in it together
You're right.
because I want to give Wedgwood some sort of shout out.
They deserve best
Best love. Whoa,
best vibes together
they do.
because they really did improve
Mhm.
the vibes around the locker room. And most in need of a hug, Connor Bedard, another haunted boy. I hope things get better for you.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap on the 2025 NHL Yearbook. Let us know in the comments who we missed out on for superlatives because we wanted to spend even more time doing it. And I'm sure there's even more that we could have come up with. And we need an editor too. So if any of you
Jeez, yeah, we
have
do.
a passion for this
For
type
yearbook
of thing,
editing. Once a year, you get to make a yearbook, and that's it. Let us know.
should we have kept it abs focused? Was that maybe part of the challenge?
Yeah, and I mean that's like a whole. We can do another segment that's just specifically abs focused superlatives because I know some people had said best hair. Jared Bednar.
I threw that out there because I wanted that to be one of them, but I actually had no idea who I'd vote for because I was thinking too big, like around the whole league.
Yeah.
That's a lot of heads.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for me, and I just shut down and didn't put it in the yearbook.
So we'll get back to the
yeah,
apps ones
because there's some good hair to talk about. So
just
best
hair. We're
That's
just gonna talk about hair.
the hair episode coming soon. No, we have an NHL awards coming soon, and it will be real NHL awards and just kind of talking about who we had in mind for these awards from this last year, and then some new made up awards that we come up with for fun and for serious, some of them too.
Mhm.
Do you have anything else for today?
That's it.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our 2025 NHL Yearbook. And before we get out of here, I want to remind you guys about our good friends at Accurate America. You never know when and where the hail will hit when the summer storms come. And the last thing you want is to be caught scrambling when it does. So make the call before the storm. Call Accurate America. They'll partner with you on navigating insurance and provide quick, professional, and knowledgeable service using the latest technology in 3D modeling. And their work is guaranteed as long as you own your home. Don't scramble at the last minute. Call Accurate America at 303-900-ROOF before the storm. And don't forget, we'll have Off Ice tomorrow for a Friday show, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Pucks and Prosecco. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Bye.